Michael Jordan skipped a major game to be with a dying fan. The NBA tried to cover it up. The Bulls' locker room buzzed like a live wire. It was March 12, 1996, just an hour before tip-off against the Knicks. National television. Packed arena. Rivalry at its peak. Every man in the room moved with a focused rhythm, except one thing was off: Michael Jordan's locker was untouched. Jersey still hanging. Shoes lined up neatly. No sign of the man. Scottie Pippen looked at it, then glanced at Ron Harper. Neither said anything, but their eyes exchanged a silent question. Phil Jackson stood in the hallway, arms folded, listening to a voicemail on his pager for the 5th time. No call. No message. No sign of Michael. The media was already sniffing. Reporters had noticed Jordan hadn't come out for warm-ups. Bulls PR kept feeding the same line: "We expect him shortly." But he wasn't coming. 10 miles away, the sliding doors of St. Mary's Children's Hospital hissed open. A tall man in a long gray coat and black cap stepped through. No entourage. No security. Just a folded piece of paper in his pocket and a face people only dared to whisper about in this place. The nurse at the counter froze. You're him." He gave a quiet nod. "Tyrell Andrews. Room 604. I'm here for him." The nurse blinked. "Are you sure?" "I promised," Jordan said, already walking past. Upstairs, in room 604, the atmosphere was heavy. Beeping monitors. Faint whir of oxygen. Tyrell lay in bed, barely 70 pounds. His mother sat beside him, gently stroking his hand. His father stood near the window, back straight, arms crossed, jaw clenched. A war veteran, built like iron but cracking on the inside. They didn't expect him to last the night. The chemo had failed. Lungs were weak. Liver failing. But he kept whispering the same thing for 2 days. He said he'd come. Then, the door creaked open. Tyrell's mother gasped. His father turned sharply. Michael stepped in, took off his cap, and nodded to them both. "Mind if I sit with him?" No words. Just stunned silence. Then, the father stepped aside, and Jordan walked over, pulled a chair up to the bed, and placed his massive hand gently over Tyrell's frail one. Tyrell stirred. His eyes fluttered. "Mike." "Hey, kid," Jordan said. "Told you I'd make it." The boy smiled weakly. A tear ran down his cheek. Back at Madison Square Garden, the Bulls were warming up without their leader. Commentators were scrambling to fill airtime. Rumors started flying. Sickness? Injury? Family emergency? "Michael Jordan is not in the building," the courtside announcer finally said, voice uncertain. "We've been told he's dealing with a personal matter." That only made things worse. Meanwhile, in room 604, Jordan was telling Tyrell about his first high school tryout. "They cut me, you know. Freshman year. Thought I wasn't good enough." Tyrell's eyelids fluttered again. "But, you're the best." Jordan smiled. "Doesn't matter what they think. It matters what you fight for. You fought harder than anyone, Tyrell. That's what makes you great." The boy tried to speak again, but coughed instead. Jordan reached for the water cup and helped him sip. His mother held back sobs. His father stepped out of the room, unable to watch. "You scared?" Jordan asked. Tyrell hesitated. "A little. But not now." "You're not alone," Jordan said. "I'm right here." Downstairs, hospital staff had started whispering. Michael Jordan was in the building, skipping a national NBA game for a dying kid. Some were confused. Others were moved. A few nurses discreetly snapped photos, but before they could be shared, a suited man from the NBA's legal team arrived. Somehow, word had gotten out. "No photos," he said. "No press. No leaks. Understood?" The photos were deleted before anyone even asked why. In the arena locker room, Phil Jackson had gathered the team. He looked at the players and gave it to them straight. "He's not coming tonight." The room fell silent. Phil handed a small folded note to Scotty. "He left this. Said to read it before you go out there." Scotty opened it. Just one line: "Some things are bigger than basketball. Play with heart tonight." No one spoke. They just nodded. Back in room 604, the machines had started to slow. The beeping softened. Tyrell's mother was now crying quietly. Jordan stayed seated, holding the boy's hand, thumb gently brushing his knuckles. "Will you win the championship?" Tyrell whispered. Jordan leaned in close. "For you? I'll win the whole thing." Tyrell smiled one last time. And then, just like that, he was gone. Jordan sat still for a long moment. He slowly lowered the boy's hand onto the blanket. Then he stood up and placed his own jersey, brought from the locker room, on the edge of the bed. To the mother, he said, "He had more fight in him than any player I've ever seen." To the father, now standing quietly at the door, Jordan offered a handshake. But the man shook his head, then pulled him into a tight embrace. "You didn't have to do this," the father said, voice cracking. "I did," Jordan said. "I just couldn't tell anyone." Before he left, he turned to one of the nurses. "Make sure he keeps that jersey." "Yes, sir," she whispered. But the jersey never made it home. Hours later, it was gone. And when Tyrell's family asked about the security footage, they were told the camera in that hallway had been malfunctioning. His mother didn't believe it. Neither did his dad. But what could they do? The story was buried fast. The NBA needed its hero back in headlines for stats, not for skipping games. Jordan returned to the team quietly the next day. When asked about his absence, he just said, "Personal reasons." And that was that. At least, for a while. The next day, Jordan walked back into practice like nothing happened. He didn't explain. No press conference. No apology. The team didn't press him either. They didn't need to. Everyone had seen the note. Everyone had felt something deeper the night before. But upstairs in the front office, people were furious. Jerry Krause was on the phone for hours. The NBA wanted answers. Networks had lost millions from the ratings dip caused by Jordan's no-show. Sponsors were panicking. Rumors were catching fire online. Even in the early internet days, whispers moved fast. By noon, a league executive arrived at the United Center. "We have to get ahead of this," he told Bulls management. "If this leaks the wrong way, it could cause damage." "Damage to who?" Phil Jackson asked. "The league or the kid who died?" The man didn't respond. By evening, Tyrell's parents were contacted by a lawyer representing a third party. They were offered an undisclosed sum of money. The condition? Sign an NDA. Silence. No photos, no statements, no media. Tyrell's father ripped the contract in half and told the man to get out. 2 days later, the hospital's chief administrator delivered the same message, this time more politely. "There's pressure from very high up. We're sorry." The jersey Jordan had left? Vanished. The hospital claimed it never existed. Back on the court, Jordan was on fire. Every game since the visit, he played like something lit a fuse in him. He dropped 51 against the Pacers. 48 against the Heat. He barely spoke to the media, and when asked about his motivation, all he said was, "I've got something to finish." Scotty knew. Phil knew. The team knew. And quietly, they rallied behind it. Tyrell's name was never spoken aloud in the locker room, but it was felt in every play. Jordan had promised that boy a title, and now the Bulls were chasing it like their lives depended on it. Behind the scenes, NBA PR was working overtime. They planted stories about minor illness, private family business, and even floated a rumor about a secret marketing deal to explain the absence. None of it stuck. Still, the public moved on. Jordan was back. The Bulls were winning. That was enough for most people. But not for Tyrell's father. He started emailing journalists, telling them what happened. At first, no one believed him. Then someone listened, a young reporter named Kevin Dow from a small Chicago paper. He'd grown up watching Jordan, idolized him. But when he met Tyrell's dad, something changed. He listened for 2 hours straight. Saw the hospital receipts. The photo of Tyrell wearing a Jordan jersey from weeks earlier. And then came the kicker, an old nurse, long retired, willing to speak off the record. Yeah, she said. He was there. The night the boy died. I saw him. Dow started writing. Draft after draft. Each time, his editor rejected it. Too risky, the editor said. If it's true, the league will crush us. If it's not, we're done. So the story sat. Unpublished. Forgotten. Until years later. In 2006, long after Jordan had retired, Dow had moved to a national sports magazine. He still had the files. Still had the tape. And one day, while cleaning out his office, he found the interview again. He played the nurse's voice one more time. That's when he decided. This story had to come out. He pitched it again. This time, his editor hesitated but didn't say no. We'll need more, the editor said. Something that ties it all together. So Dow tracked down Phil Jackson. He didn't give much, but when asked directly about the 1996 Knicks game, Phil didn't deny anything. He did what he needed to do, Phil said. And we played like he told us to. Dow asked what that meant. Phil simply said, some things are bigger than basketball. That was enough. Dow published the piece with the headline, The Night Jordan Vanished, and the Boy No One Knew About. The article didn't blow up overnight. But slowly, it started making waves. Fans shared it. Blogs picked it up. Commentators debated it. And finally, Jordan himself was asked during a rare public appearance at a charity golf tournament. Is the story true? A reporter shouted. Did you really skip that game for a dying kid? Jordan didn't look up at first. He adjusted his glove. Looked at the ball. Then he said, I was where I needed to be that night. That's all I'll say. The video went viral. For the first time in years, the public saw a different side of him, not the invincible icon, but the man underneath. A week later, Tyrell's father was invited to speak at a high school gym in the south side of Chicago. The place was packed. He brought a single photo, Tyrell in bed, smiling, with Jordan's hand holding his. I wasn't supposed to keep this, he said to the crowd. But I did. Because it mattered. He paused. Michael didn't need cameras. Didn't need applause. He came because my son mattered. That's what makes a man great, not rings. Not stats. Moments like that. The room erupted in applause. Not long after, fans began showing up to Bulls games with Tyrell's name on their shirts. Homemade signs. Online tributes. Jordan never commented again, but he saw them. Every time. Back in the NBA offices, things got quiet. No apology. No press release. Just silence. Because the truth had finally come out, and there was no stopping it. In the months after the article went public, the story spread everywhere. Podcasts, sports channels, local talk shows, everyone wanted to talk about that night. But Michael didn't. He vanished from the spotlight again, this time by choice. No statements. No interviews. No victory lap. People debated it online. Some believed every word. Some called it PR spin. But the truth had already done its job. It had reached the right people. Especially those who remembered what basketball was before it became a brand. One of those people was Marcus Jordan, Michael's son. He hadn't known. His dad never talked about it, even at home. But when Marcus read the story, he didn't ask questions. He just walked into the garage, found his father shooting quietly into a hoop mounted on the brick wall, and said Tyrell would be proud. Michael didn't stop shooting. Just gave a small nod and sank the next shot without looking. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. The Bulls hosted a 10-year anniversary event for the '96 championship team. Jordan showed up. The stadium buzzed the second he walked in. Fans roared. But when the team was brought out for introductions, Jordan spoke first. He stepped up to the mic, quieted the crowd, and said, "Before we celebrate this title, I want to acknowledge someone who's not here. Someone who kept me going when I didn't think I could anymore." He looked out at the crowd. His name was Tyrell Andrews. And this championship? This one's his too. The stadium fell into a silence that said more than applause ever could. Then, slow and steady, the crowd rose to their feet. A full standing ovation. Some cheered. Some just clapped, blinking away tears. On the Jumbotron, a photo of Tyrell faded in, just his face, smiling weakly in that hospital bed, with Jordan's jersey draped across him. No logos. No filters. Just a moment that started it all. From that point on, things changed. Fans created scholarship funds in Tyrell's name. Street courts around Chicago painted murals of Jordan and the boy. Kids started asking who Tyrell was and learning what greatness really meant. The NBA never issued an official comment. They didn't need to. Public memory had already carved out the truth. Trying to bury it again would only backfire. Years passed. Tyrell's father, now gray-haired and slower on his feet, started speaking at schools. Not about tragedy, but about purpose. Michael showed up not because he had to, he told one group of students, but because he gave a damn. That's what made him a legend, not the points. In one classroom, a boy raised his hand. Did Jordan stay the whole time? Even when it got bad? The father paused, then said, he stayed until the end. Didn't even blink. One student wrote about it in a school essay. That essay got picked up by a local news outlet. The story lived again, passed through generations. Then came the most unexpected tribute of all. At the grand opening of a new youth center on the south side of Chicago, a sleek basketball court was unveiled. Polished hardwood. Clean lines. But in the corner of the gym, carved into the floorboards, were the words, "Play with heart tonight. MJ." Above it hung a framed jersey. Not Jordan's. Tyrell's. Donated anonymously, though everyone knew exactly where it came from. A former Bulls trainer later confirmed the truth. Jordan had taken the original jersey after that hospital visit, not to keep, but to preserve. Quietly. Privately. The same jersey now watched over the court where hundreds of kids would come to play, laugh, and fight for their own dreams. Jordan never returned to that court in public. But sometimes, people swore they saw him, pulling up in a black car, sitting there alone for a few minutes, then driving away. No words. No attention. Just presence. By 2010, Tyrell's story had become something greater than a headline. It became a lesson. Coaches used it to teach humility. Parents used it to teach kindness. Even players, big names, spoke about it in interviews, citing the night Jordan disappeared as the moment they learned what legacy truly meant. One day, during a Hall of Fame induction speech for a rising star, the young player ended with, "Scoring makes you famous. Showing up for someone when no one's looking? That's what makes you unforgettable." He looked up, then added, "Thank you, MJ. And thank you, Tyrell." By then, no one questioned the story anymore. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't folklore. It was truth. A truth that had been buried, then resurrected by one act of defiance, one act of compassion, and the courage of a man who chose a child over a scoreboard. And in the end, that single night, those 3 hours in a hospital room, meant more than any trophy, any title, or any record. Michael Jordan kept his promise. He won the championship. But more importantly, he gave a boy dying in a hospital bed something even greater than victory. He gave him time. He gave him presence. And he made sure, without cameras, without headlines, that Tyrell didn't die alone. That's how legends are made. Not just on courts, but in silence, in sacrifice, and in moments no one was supposed to see.